Hello, hello. This is our first time going live on ooh on our going live on our Oakland Rising Action page. So thank you for joining. We're going to be talking today about how to vote. So if you haven't filled out your ballot yet, like myself, still need to work on it because I've been busy talking to folks about it. But anybody out there want to join me and talk through this? I see Sabir. Sabir, you want to come and talk with me? I'm going to invite you up. If you're able to, but I'm going to try. We're going to see if you can join me. RyanNicole Austin was going to join us, but they just had a baby, not recently, but baby is needing attention. So they are not able to join me right at this moment. But I'm getting a text from them, so let me just check in on them. But we're going to be talking about our ballots to fill out our ballot for the primary, which is tomorrow. And you can fill out your ballot and submit it by tomorrow. And I'm realizing I have my ballot here, but where is my envelope? Feels like things got moved. And so I'm gonna see one more time. So tomorrow is your last day to vote. So everybody, if you are a registered voter, you would have gotten your ballot in the mail, and you would have been able to, since the day you got it, to fill it out and then send it in the mail. And the last 2 weeks, because of this expansion of our ability to vote in California, in Alameda County, you would have been given 2 weeks to go to a polling location, a polling center, and fill out your ballot and drop it off there. You could have voted there, you could have registered to vote there. So you want to make sure that when you do get your ballot, now we only have 1 day left, y'all. It's essentially 26 hours left, because it's 8 p.m. on Tuesday, June 7th, when you can join. Oh, and here's Ryan. So, so you want to make sure that what you do is, hey, there she is. Oh, and there's baby. Hi, baby.
Hunger. Thank you so much.
She's all happy and satisfied now.
Not really, but she'll get there. Daddy to the
Daddy's got her now.
Yes.
Good.
Thank goodness for extra hand.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yay.
Yes. So 26 hours thing. I was totally engrossed, and I don't want to.
So you have 26 hours. You have until 8 p.m. tomorrow. Well, a little less than 26 hours now. You want to make sure it's in the drop box, in a at the polling station by 8 p.m. tomorrow. If you didn't get your ballot in the mail, or if you lost it or misplaced it, or it never came to you, or you're not registered to vote yet, you can still go to a polling location tomorrow. And Sabir, I had asked Sabir to join us, and he said he's double dipping. He's in another Zoom meeting at the same time. So
another Zoom meeting and then just come here.
Yeah,
Nobody
just
will.
come join us here. So if you're not registered to vote yet, you can still go vote. And just reminder for all those folks who are formerly incarcerated, you can register to vote now. So
Yes.
that's a whole lot of people out there
That was
that,
the last election cycle, wasn't it?
yeah, so in
Yeah.
2020, so
Yeah.
excited about that, right? So if you're on parole, you got out of jail, you got out of prison, and you don't think that you have the right to vote, you do now in California. So
That's
want
right.
to register to vote, you can go to a polling location and register to vote right there. They'll give you what's called a provisional ballot. So it'll be like the state, it'll be the county, it'll be like the most general of the information that you can vote on. As you can see, you have several pages of your ballot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get the most high level and that might not be specific to, like, say, your district or your area, but you have an opportunity to still vote on some of those bigger pieces.
So you
Um,
won't necessarily get like, will they send you stuff or give you the stuff that represents your district at all?
as
Or
much as they can. So, because in Alameda County, the way you can vote now is you can essentially go to any polling location. You don't have to have an ID. You don't
mm-hmm.
have to have,
Oh,
yeah, you could just show up and be like, I want to vote. I want to register to vote right now. So they should give you a ballot regardless.
that
And then
sounds
on, yeah, it's pretty awesome, right? And you can go to any location in Alameda County. So if you live in Oakland, but you work in, say, Union City, and you're like, oh, I have time now, I could go to a polling location. You could just walk in and say, I'm an Alameda County resident. I want to vote today. Give me the provisional ballot. So you might get the state and the county, but you might not get Oakland stuff. But even though Oakland is not on the ballot, right? So
right.
you might get the most basic things, but at least you'll get an opportunity to vote on those pieces.
That's great.
Yeah. And if you have your ballot and you're like, oh, actually, I love to go into the location, I like to press the buttons and do all those kinds of things, and you like to see them actually put it through the machine or put it in yourself, as long as you're in line by 8 p.m. tomorrow, you have the right to vote. And so make sure that you have that all set and ready. The other thing that I wanted to tell folks about that you should know when you get there is that I want to make sure that you also, as you're filling out your ballot and you feel like you made a mistake, you have a right to get a new ballot.
Ah,
So you can be like, I messed up. So like yesterday, I was door knocking for a candidate, and I
oh,
heard somebody say, oh, well, actually, I just filled it out, but I had voted for this other person. And it was like, but you've convinced me, so
mhm.
I'm actually going to change my ballot.
Oh,
And
nice.
so they are going to go and make the correction by getting a new ballot so that they can make that correction because they
Can I
felt
pull
compelled
over?
by that.
Can I pull over and celebrate a couple things that you said right now? You know,
Yes.
I represent like a group of people, at least the folks that I talk to, feel a little apathetic, feel a little malaise, to be honest.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I just want to name a couple wins that you just kind of ran through.
I did.
Really,
I did.
yeah, but I just want to name it so that people who feel like a little disenchanted by the process, feel disengaged, feel like we don't win. It's not the truth. We are winning, right? So,
Mhm.
you know, the fact that parolees can vote is a huge win. The fact that we don't have to show up with our ID like we used to before, that's a huge win, right? The fact that you can be in line, like all of these things are wins from recent mobilization efforts. And then the fact that you're literally out mobilizing and you're changing the hearts and minds of people and the voting choices of people. So I just want to name that because I think that captures like the sentiment of two different thoughts or trains of thought. One, for the voter who's just like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm so over this. You
Yep.
know, why are we voting? Why am I getting out here? Well, here's why. These wins actually do happen. And that shifting that I know shifting the parolee ability to vote was not an easily, you know, one battle one.
Yes.
And the second thing is for the folks who are wondering if you volunteer, can you change hearts and minds and voting
Yep.
choices? Absolutely can,
Yep.
right? So
That's
I just
right.
those are huge,
Yes.
thing.
I
Uh,
really appreciate you saying all that, Ryan, because, as somebody who really looks at this entire democratic electoral system as being one that isn't made for us, right? It was not built for us to actually vote and to participate and to gain power from. But
right,
to be able to, in this space, to know that actually people died
right,
for this moment, right? For the moment, for all those ways that I think people get cynical and like even see things when, I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams,
right,
or, those kinds of sayings. And I think the sentiment that behind that is because there was a time when we were not allowed to vote, right? Um, Black people were not allowed to vote until this last century, right?
right.
Like mid to the end, towards the end of the last century,
Yeah.
right?
Or
It's like it blows my mind to think about that, and that they were actually there were actually tests and things and barriers that were created so that people could not register to vote,
right,
could not actually vote at the end of the day. And that's important piece for people to understand. So one of the ways that they did that was to say your ID, and the ID has to look like this. It has to be legit in this way. Otherwise, you can't have the right to vote without
right,
that. And they're
right.
still using that in some places, but in California, we don't have that because people organized. And
Organized.
yeah, and formerly incarcerated folks, right? To be really clear, like the reason why they can now vote and register to vote is because they organized
That's right.
massively, right?
That's
And so it's really important for us to really understand what that means. And like, so when these little pieces of changes that you notice when you go, so even being able to go to any voting location
right.
in the county, that's pretty big, right?
That's massive. It increases access like nobody's business.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then to be able to make a mistake and go, hey, we all make mistakes, so I just need a new ballot. Let me fill that out, right?
That's, that's right. Yeah. These are great.
So, so I appreciate you for joining me today, Ryan. If you all don't
Y'all
know, and I'm sure a lot of folks are joining us because they know Ryan, and they're followers of hers.
not really, maybe not. Who knows?
But for those who are joining because of Oakland Rising Action, welcome. And RyanNicole Austin is an amazing, 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 amazing artist here from Oakland, born and raised, and really has a deep, deep love for Oakland. And so we always, I love when we get to connect on these things because I know the passion that and love that you have for the city and for the county too.
Same. Yo, and we got off the call earlier today that we had with Jen Johns, and I just was so like grateful for you. Folks who are joining from Oakland Rising Action, you must know the gym that you have in Lit. I mean, I know you've got girls in the background somewhere doing whatever it is that they're doing. Here you are spending your time with us. So, and you're extremely informed and you make the information accessible and you're clearly passionate. And so I was just like, oh, wow, it was a wash in gratitude as I got off the call earlier today. And so just want to echo that sentiment right back to you.
Aw, that made my chest all warm. I'm all blushing now.
It's hot outside, girl.
It's hella human. What's up with that? Um, so, well, and I wanted to also say, Oakland Rising Action, we put out a voter guide. This was kind of one
Yes,
of our first voter guides for a primary election.
yes,
And we dipped into putting our endorsement behind a few candidates. We didn't do all of the candidates that we're going to go through on this ballot and talk about, but we did go through 4 seats that were really important to us and to our steering committee members.
right,
So on our steering committee, we have some volunteers that are community organizers and activists, and political thinkers here in Oakland, as well as folks from the Ella Baker Center Action, from East Bay Action, from Asian Pacific Environmental Network Action, and Parent Voices Action. So just to let you know that, it's not, Liz Huck didn't like come up with this on my own. We actually send out a questionnaire. It's a lengthy questionnaire, in fact. We spent months looking over questions and thinking about them. And then we also got the questionnaires, and then we set up interviews. And we did we did like hour-long interviews with the candidates. And
Nice.
These are the folks that we decided. And I'm going to be bragging right now. See this art?
Beautiful art, yes.
This is by Rob Trujillo.
Oh,
The
I love Rob.
Right? Robert Trujillo. He did the art, and then my daughter Luna did the coloring for this.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that's lit.
Isn't that beautiful?
And way to go, Rob. That is gorgeous.
I know, and I love that he was so willing to collaborate with my 13-year-old on this. So, yay!
He wants to talk. That's lit. I love it.
I love it. And so this too is English and Spanish.
Yes.
This is a bilingual one. So we're gonna go through these first. So we talked about this one.
If you see me like typing on the side, I'm literally pulling up your website and getting voter guide and
So you can go to oaklandrisingaction.org and pull up our voter guide. You can go there. You might also have been seeing our ad on Instagram and on Facebook. That's been popping up. But let's go ahead and start. And then I also want to shout out to Pete Woiwode. He is an amazing activist, and he has actually, here it is. Where is it? Oh, I can't find it now. He actually created a voter guide that is a little bit more in-depth and comprehensive. Yeah. Oh, where did it go?
So folks, anybody who's joining oaklandrisingaction.org, go to their voter guide. If you go to the June primary elections, the voter guide's directly under that that part of the link. And we'll just go along here. It also has what are these called? The QR code. So if you need to take it with you when you're at the polls tomorrow, you will have it right in your phone.
Yes, thank you, Ryan.
Oh, for sure.
And then this one is, if you all want to follow along, you can go to Pete Votes. This is bit.ly, so bit.ly/Pete Votes. This is a pretty comprehensive voter guide. You can see all the voter guides that Pete has done over the years.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, thank you, Pete.
There are 18.
And you'll notice too that his take on things might not be the same as ours, which is fine. I wanted to also just acknowledge that, because I know that regardless of how you end up voting, that you do vote, that you be informed about those votes. And I know that you get a ton of those stack of those like mailers, and it's hard to read through them because it's like all just like, vote for me, I'm great. Right? And so how do you make the distinction between what they might have represented before they I'm great candidate, right?
That's what we need to hear. That's what I was talking about on my live earlier.
That's right.
What are they really about? What's their track record say? Oh, I'm so grateful for this information.
Okay, so let's look. I think my things are out of order, but card A.
Okay.
You have card A. That's the governor.
Uh-huh.
And we haven't weighed in at Oakland Rising Action, but my sense is that our folks are probably going to lean towards Gavin Newsom on this. What are your thoughts?
I mean, he's the horse we're here on. I don't love the dude, right? Like I know that he's part of, and this might be totally conspiracy theories, but I know he's part of a guard of people who have not done well for this region. Um, he's been completely focused, as have this guard of people, on their political careers and have leveraged this region for it.
That's right.
And feels to be leveraging the state for it as well. But I also don't know the rest of the candidates, to be honest with you. And I'm like, this is one of those scenarios where I'm like, God, I'm so ignorant to what the other people represent. And I also don't want to split the vote and end up with some crazy right wing, nut job. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's really interesting because actually, Pete on his thing says to vote for Luis Rodriguez.
that
And, he has a much, uh, I think one of the criticism a lot of people have of Gavin Newsom is that he's not strong enough on challenging some of the big corporations and lobbyists.
mm-hmm.
One of them being, he could really easily do a lot of things, right? He could easily be like, let's redo this whole prison system. Let's look at the way we look at our electricity. And he doesn't. He doesn't do those things.
Right.
And, but, on one side to that too is that, it is the horse that we do know. We
Right.
know how to ride that horse.
Right.
We know how to tame and work with that horse. And so, but I think that that's up to you to decide on that piece, right? Pete says that Luis is great on the Green New Deal and housing investments and free education and all of these things are great. And so I leave it up to you all. This is one that Oakland Rising Action as a steering committee has not made a decision. So I'll leave that to you. And it looks like so that's a big one. That it's one of those. Do you want a new established person, or do
Right.
you want an unestablished person? And do you want someone that how to fight the system?
And it's worth talking about like what that means a little bit, that new person, old system has a lot of work to do. And if they don't have support, I mean, I was an ED once, right? You got to like take part in a new board. You got to like all of
That's
that.
right.
And that's just an executive director. You know how that
Yes.
goes.
Yes.
Similarly with any paradigm shift and new leadership, like this person would have to do that. My question always is like, well, do they have that administration ready to go, and do they have the plan ready to go? Because you move one system and you got to plug the hole with a new one pretty quick. That's my
and then you have the whole system that's like, no, we're not doing this new thing, so we're gonna do all the things to block it, which in some ways I think is what happened to Obama as president, right? And has happened to many folks that step into office. Is the old system just rears its big ugly head and then goes up against you and does all kinds of things to trip you up and mess you up. So we've not only seen that in the US, we've seen that across the world, right? When Hugo Chavez got into office in Venezuela, the very conservative right was like, and then, riled up the US as a partner to be like, oh, these socialists are going to kill us.
right.
Okay, so moving on to the next, on the back side, we have the lieutenant governor, we have secretary of state, we have the controller, and we have the treasurer.
All right.
Yeah, and so, lieutenant governor. Again, this is one of those seats that we didn't take a stance on. And our dear Pete put Mohammed Arif.
Mm-hmm.
But the current incumbent right now, I believe,
It's Lani Kunala. I remember her from last time.
Kunalakis.
Yeah.
Kunalakis.
Yeah.
So, again, it's the same conversation, right? You
Will he
know,
be, if Mohammed, for example, were voted in, would he be able to be functional with a system around him that may be, against his objectives? Will he be?
yeah. And a vote for him too. Another thing to consider when you're doing a vote like this for somebody new is actually not to think about this election, but to think 3 elections from now.
That's really
So
smart.
if you vote for Mohammed this time, or you vote for another candidate that isn't the incumbent, like Ilani, who is a corporate, a favorite, right? Then you're actually increasing the ability to move us further. So maybe this time it's not Mohammed, but the next time, and then the Democrats or the people who are in power currently will go, oh shit, so
Mm-hmm.
I better start picking up on some of these things, right?
Mm.
So remember, I'm gonna shout out to Anti-Police Terror Project, right? A few years back when they were
Right.
saying defund the police, everybody was like, "You crazy!" And
Right.
now it's
What?
in everybody's mouth, right?
That,
Whether or not they believe it or not, at least they're saying it now, right?
right. And some cities have actually done it, or at least taken steps in that direction. So yeah, even Oakland taking some of the resources and applying it to arts and culture. So
That's
yep.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, so then Secretary of State, the Dem current person is Shirley Weber. They've been apparently a very good Secretary of State. Part of it is so the Secretary of State is the one at the state level who runs actually our elections. So
Okay.
that's part of that, right? So, a lot of the movement towards us being able to vote the way we can vote now, and because of mail-in ballots and all of that, the Secretary of State is in charge of that.
Word.
So, Shirley Weber has been doing a pretty good job with that. I'm
Better.
not too um, know too much about the controller, to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we can look it up and see what it is that they do.
What do? Yeah, I know Malia Cohen. Now
Oh,
I know her personally, and I I know we talked about like not voting for the person who seems cool, but Malia Cohen's really cool.
oh, tell me about them.
She's really cool. She's over in the city as, and forgive me because I'm gonna mess up her title, but I know she's basically the equivalent of our council members over here in Oakland, and
Oh, the
she
supervisor.
supervisors. Thank you. Her and of course, not Libby, London have worked together hand in hand to shift some major things. And then the other guy, I can't remember his name right now. Anyhow, they've done some really positive things in the city of San Francisco. And I see Malia oftentimes really aligned with the people. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy that with her. I expect that she would carry that same theme and mission up her up the ranks as she continues to move up. That's my assumption. I don't have a lot of information either about what the controller does, and if she has the skill set to do so. But again, like personal knowledge, of her as a human being, I think she is a good person, and
Yeah.
I hope
So
that
the
would.
controller, I looked it up. So the
Yeah.
controller essentially is the accountant and bookkeeper. So
Oh.
this is really important, right? So they work very hand in hand with the treasurer. Betty Yee, who had done it for a really long time,
Mm-hmm.
apparently had done a fairly good job with it. So they would be replacing Betty Yee in this role.
Mm.
Um, so and then the treasurer, I guess, there is some. Currently, the incumbent is Fiona Ma.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some controversy about her. I can't remember totally. This is one of my
Well, Pete says Fiona Ma added
confessions.
outright corruption to her legacy of the less explicit corporate kind that has defined her career. Time for her to go. Ooh.
Ooh, those
He is
are strong words.
strong words. Okay,
Strong
Pete.
words
Still.
from Pete
Yeah.
Wowley. So yeah, so I think again that's one of your places. This could be one of those roles though that having someone new in the role, because it is about the administration of the Treasury Department, right? That
Mm,
is going to be clear and important. So having somebody in there that might even be in opposition or further left or more progressive from the governor, this is one
mhm.
of those roles that it's like we can go and be as brave as we want to be
Mm,
because they will pull the governor more left, right?
wow.
Or right, and the same with the controller. These are the type of roles, the Secretary of State, that you can pull them more to the left. You can vote them more left and feel safe and confident that they are stepping into a role that isn't as political as, say, the governor, right?
Hmm.
Where you're not going to have a whole lot of stalling. So I
Mm.
think that's up to
That's
you all
that's
to
really
know that
awesome.
part.
That's, it's the chess game of it all. You know how
Exactly.
how somebody under a position really starts to shift the way that head, that queen or king moves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Cool.
So let's move on. So card B, this
Yes.
takes us to the Attorney General, which is basically our top prosecutor for the state,
Right.
our insurance commissioner, and then it would be the State Board of Equalization. I think you might have the same as me, District 2.
Yep.
And then on the back is the senator, U.S. senator, and the two roles there. So
Mm-hmm.
let's start with Attorney General. Rob Bonta used to be our Assembly District representative, right, for the state, and he
Mm-hmm.
moved over. He was appointed by the governor
Mm-hmm.
last year, and so I think Rob's doing a pretty good job there. He has prosecuted cops. He's gone after some corporations, and this is really key, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen a state attorney general do that in
Right.
California for a while.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, and he's pretty connected to us locally.
Yes.
He started off here, and moved his way up, and has always stayed connected to Oakland. He was a real proponent for schools and communities first. So I think he deserves to keep the job right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I see him. I still see him around, which is really nice to know that we're still connected, that he's still connected to our region.
That's right. That's right. All right. So let's see. I don't know much about the insurance commissioner as well. Um, they
Sounds boring. Sorry. Oh,
let's
I'm
keep it real though. Let's
sorry.
keep it real.
Yeah.
And I think that this is one of those roles, because it is a smaller
Mm,
position where you could make some leeway and some move and changes, that going with the stronger lefty or the more
mm,
progressive
mm.
person in this role is kind of the place to go.
Well, here's what Pete
Um,
says. The insurance commissioner has a lot of opportunity to upend the financial status quo that allows oil companies and utilities to continue to burn down our state. Okay.
there we go.
There we there we go. As we
Yeah.
enter season. So hello. Okay.
Oh, damn, I've been like waking up every morning looking at my phone, like, is there a fire yet?
Right.
Just
Right.
ready and waiting so I
It's
could close my windows.
seriously, put your masks on. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, Pete suggests Mark Levine. And just to let you know, we've been looking at Pete. I trust Pete, that's why. But and I would also say there are a bunch of other
yeah.
voter guides. Maybe you're part of a union. Go to your union and see what your union says. You can also go to other trusted folks out there, like that might have their own voter guides. Go check them out. If you want the party line, you can go to the Dems. It
Right.
depends on you and what you believe. What are your values in that alignment? We really think, though, these might be the most progressive.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to move us on to the state Where's the Senate seat? Okay, so at the federal level, the U.S. Senate seat, um, I would say for the Senate seat would be Alex Padilla.
Okay.
Alex used to, I believe, was the previous Secretary of State.
Okay.
So he was one of those who had really advanced a lot of sort of our voting rights and things like that as well. Um,
Is that Oakland Rising Action's recommendation?
we don't have a recommendation for this. This is my own personal opinion.
Okay.
I think, he could. He's done a decent job. I think he could continue to do a decent job.
Word.
Yep.
Okay. I don't have any. I trust you. I don't have on that.
Okay. So then let's move on to card C.
Sure.
This would put us at the federal representative for our congressional seat, which would
Yes.
be the 12th district, which is Barbara Lee's district. So
Yes.
I would agree to continue supporting Barbara Lee, who
Yes.
speaks for
12.
me.
Uh-huh. D12. Excuse me.
And for Congressional District 12. And
Mhm.
then it moves to State Assembly District 18, which we are currently in.
Okay.
There is nobody running against the current incumbent, which is Mia Bonta. She is married to Rob Bonta.
That's
I
useful.
think, yeah, so
Yeah.
she hasn't been in the role long enough to, I think, to really say whether she's done a lot or not. But
Right.
when we did have the 12 school closures on the chopping block, Malia got a call from folks here in Oakland, and she stepped up and tried to find $10 million in the budget to
Okay.
help go towards OUSD's debt to the state.
Yeah.
And she has been trying to really look at ways to help alleviate that. Also, I have to say, I've met some of her staffers, and she is unabashedly willing to support folks who are formerly incarcerated as her staff, and
Oh,
not a lot of people would be willing to do that.
wow. That says a
Yeah,
lot.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. We still have yet to see what Mia will do.
Yeah.
We at Oakland Rising Action, when she ran, we did not endorse Mia Bonta.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because at the moment there was a lot in terms of like the Democratic establishment that was backing her,
Yeah. I
right?
remember
And so
getting I
we're kind of like,
got mail from Mia. So many mailers. And that to just in our household, it's always a harbinger. We're always like, you sent 40 mailers. You have like what's really going on? You know what I mean? First of all, you're killing trees. Secondly, like, why do you have this much money for your campaign? I get it, but that lets me know that you might be corporate backed or establishment backed, and that's at least one of the rules of our household.
that's right. That's right. I don't have, and this is one of the places I think I talked about it on the other IG live that we did, is that I don't know much about judges. I don't know
Oh,
their records. So anybody out there that's listening who's a funder or a big donor, want to throw some money our way, we can like hire a researcher, because that's one of the things I think a lot of people need to know about. Judges are really important to know. So
yeah.
I think this is one of those, if you all are watching and get an opportunity, Google them, see maybe if they've come up in the news, or how they've voted on, or how they've not prosecuted, but how they've judged
Judged. Yeah.
and adjudicated. Thank you. We are
Mm-hmm.
all fancy with the words
Woo,
adjudicate.
I love words. Um, okay. Yeah.
Yes, poet and
You feel you know what
lyricist.
it is, poet. I see you. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
see.
so on this card C, on the very far right, though,
Uh-huh.
is for schools. So we have the state superintendent of public instruction.
There we go.
Right now, Tony Thurmond is the one who's there right now. Um, People say he's kind of has done an okay job. I haven't heard, folks. I've heard a lot of people who are kind of disappointed in him though, because he didn't do enough to respond to COVID. That he caved in to a lot of pressures to open schools back up without a clear plan. There was also a lot of the state Department of Education has, not under Tony Thurmond, but in the past has placed certain predominantly Black school districts, Oakland, Vallejo,
Yes.
Compton included.
Yes.
Um, they only needed to be given like $15 million in to as a loan from the state, requested that, and were actually by the state given $100 million loans, and now we're swimming and
And then,
drowning in it, right?
yes. Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
Tony has the ability at this point to really think about and pressure the governor to say, why don't you just alleviate this debt
Right.
and get rid of it so these school districts can start new. We do have this gigantic surplus, so do
Right.
it. But Tony has not stepped up to that.
Yeah, I know that
Um,
myself and several parents that I know who are part of OUSD put that call in and have heard crickets from Tony, and I was really disappointed in that. I know Tony Thurmond from his Richmond days and had FaceTime with him, and really he didn't think that I in particular would get a call back or a response, but the fact that he's been crickets with like the entire coalition from my experience
mm,
feels really, really disappointing in this time where, it's emergence, it's urgency with parents and kids right now in terms of the schools that they're being able to attend. So
yeah.
yeah.
So, our dear Pete, he puts Marco
Oh,
Amaral as his choice.
there it is. I was like, where is that? Oh,
Yeah,
there he
it's a little further down.
got him. It's in the middle under controller. Got it.
Yeah. So I think that's for you to decide. This again is one of those positions that I think you can go as far left as you want and really push. And I think school districts are really in dire need of that. There is a big push on the on the right,
Mm-hmm.
around critical race theory and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Let's not even go there, right?
Let's
Um,
not.
so and then it moved down to the next spot, which is the superintendent of county schools
Mm-hmm.
here in Alameda County. And that is one of the people we put
Elise
on our ballot,
Castro.
Elise Castro.
Got it.
Um, LK Monroe has really done a very poor job. A lot of folks here in Oakland are really upset with the way that she's handled, the budget transparency, and that has led to issues here in OUSD. There's also, calls around how they didn't step up for, parent engagement here in Oakland, reparations for Black students.
Yeah.
Coalition here had been trying to organize a lot, and LK Monroe had been kind of undermining that or just not aligning with them well.
Right. Right.
And Elise Castro, she's a white woman,
Yeah.
um, but she has a lot of experience within school systems. And you can go to Oakland Rising Action Facebook. We did a live meet and greet with her. So if you want to check that out, we did like a 45-minute talk with her just to get to know her.
Nice.
Sabir Lockett and I actually had this conversation with her, and I think she has the right sort of framework around things. She definitely is like, this is a system of white supremacy, right? That we need to figure out how to work around and dismantle. And she's also like, we just need small solutions. Like all we need to do is tweak this one thing or that thing. And I think she has a good idea for that.
Okay. And she's a
Um,
former teacher.
she is. She was a
Yeah.
principal for Island High, which is the continuation school in Alameda.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
I did challenge her. I do have to say that I think one point that Elise needs to really work on is that her focus when we were talking on this meet and greet, her focus is like, let's give opportunity to all students. And if there's an issue with the student, then we need to offer all of these things to the student and try to help the student. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, that's great. I want that. I want all of that. And we need to be talking about this system,
Yep.
because you're asking this child to
Yep.
take on, I need to adapt and change to get through this system
Yep.
still. And I don't think that's enough, I think.
Right. I
But she
agree.
was like, that's when she was talking about, but so you want me to dismantle white supremacy? I'm like, let's start with education. That'd be great.
Yeah. Let's get there.
Let's get it.
I
Let's
love
do
that.
it.
I gotta give it up to her for naming it. Call a thing a thing.
That's right.
The
That's
big,
right.
big hooded elephant in the room. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so on the backside to this is the assessor,
Right.
county assessor, and then and this is the one that our dear friend Jen Johns was talking about earlier. This is the role that will play big in terms
Exactly.
of
Got
this
it.
person decides like how your property value is here in wherever you live.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been used as a way to redline, Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
If I live in deep East Oakland, I live of Durant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the very, very edge of Oakland,
And
y'all.
I'm on the other edge.
Yeah,
Yeah. Bottom of the West, baby. But yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But when you cross that street, is a very different world.
It sure is.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the county assessor makes that distinction between
Wow.
what is more valuable and not valuable.
Oh my God.
Um, and so oftentimes these are related to race and income, that I think I don't have enough expertise in this to say whether or not Fong Law is doing a good job or not, but it is one of those roles. And I will be challenged. I've been challenged by Jen Johns to really look at what this person does. So
Okay.
again, got to research this one a little bit more for the future too. And similar to the auditor, the clerk recorder, this is the person that when the board of supervisors are meeting is the
Mm-hmm.
one, their office is like, keeping the minutes and the notes and posting things on a timely manner. And it's a critical role to play.
Yeah.
One in this is important, I think that folks need to know is, they're the ones who offer the language access and what that looks like. And so for our folks. Okay, so the last card, we are on to the last
Yay.
one.
Good work.
Yay. So on this one, we have the district attorney, we have the sheriff's department, we have the treasurer, and we have measure C. I'm
Mm-hmm.
realizing, why isn't District 3 in here? Do you have District 3 on yours?
Don't even have it right now.
For County of Supervisor? Oh, I see. Okay.
Huh. Alameda. Come on, thing.
I'm realizing that maybe I'm not in District 3. I think I might be in District 4
I see.
because of where I sit. No, because it's part of San Leandro. I'm gonna have to take a look. But if you're on your ballot, if you have Alameda County Supervisor District 3, Oakland Rising Action is endorsing Rebecca Kaplan.
Kaplan.
Folks, there has been criticism of Kaplan, that she's just a straight politician.
Mm-hmm.
And, we used to see her, people called that she flip-flopped on issues.
Remember
Sometimes
that?
she would say one thing and then completely do another. I think that when you look at the politics of everything, that sometimes you've got to make transactional moves. And I think Rebecca has done that. I think the other thing that people have to know is that Rebecca Rebecca actually does an incredible amount of policy, and she creates an incredible amount of policy. So
Right.
she's kind of like throwing as much as she can in the ring so that we get more into the space.
Hmm.
And so I think, you know, her role
Yeah.
as a rep at large for city council, as well as, you know, her role that she played on AC Transit Board.
Yeah.
And, you know, she knows a lot of movers and shakers, not only at Alameda County, but at the state. And I think what we need in this role, because we talked about this, um, you know, Keith Carson, Nate Miley, and why can't I remember the last guy's name?
Oh, I don't know. We did say,
Oh, Richard Valle. Sorry, Richard Valle. They've been on. They've been at the Board of Supervisors for quite a long time. Richard Valle being the shortest time of
yeah.
19 years. The newest member to the Board of Supervisors is Herbert Hubert, who is in District 1, super Trump supporter, you know, very super right wing conservative. So
Oh,
we
man.
need somebody that's in this role that can get in it and move stuff quickly,
Yeah.
and be able to stand up. And I think Rebecca is that person.
Okay.
And
Now, this
mhm.
might not mean anything to you, but I'm just curious. Well, she won't be able to hold the other position in Oakland.
No. So what will happen then is that there will be an appointment for rep at large, that will then happen if she does win this race outright. It still won't go into effect until January 1st of 2023. So
Okay.
then we will be able to decide who will be appointed to the rep at large seat. And then if she doesn't win it outright in the primary, then she will go on to the November election with another candidate, whoever that might be, and then it will get decided then. And again, the vote goes on, and once we know if she wins or not, then an appointment will be made.
Okay.
Yeah. And then her seat is up in 2024. So whoever is appointed will have 2 years to really try to
Making
fill,
an
make an
appeal.
impact and make an appeal. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The last one of the things on here that's really important to us is the district attorney,
Yep.
and we voted for Pam Price,
Pamela.
Pamela Price.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think a lot of folks were like, well, what I want to hear what you thought of her running and then running to be mayor and then running again as district attorney. Do you have any thoughts about Pamela?
I've seen Pamela around. I don't have any feelings. I feel like she's trying to get in somewhere, get in where she fits in. I respect that. I respect that, honestly. I mean, just the wiliness, the willingness to continue to throw your hat in the ring, the resiliency of losing and coming back. Like, I feel like that says a lot about the kind of character she has. I can only assess a person by personality if I don't have all the facts and the information. And
Mm,
I think that says a lot about her personality. And then because I've met her, she doesn't read to me as a politician.
mm,
She reads to me as like a woman who rolls up her sleeves and gets to work. And
yeah,
that assuages any anxieties I might have around, like, is she just trying to be, she just trying to get into a seat of power to do something personal. It doesn't feel like that to me. So that's the only way I can kind of assess her, because I don't know enough, which
right.
is why I'm on this call right now.
No,
Learn
I
more.
think that, you know what though, Ryan, I think that your instincts and your intuition about people is spot on. I think because you live such a value centered life, right? You know, like, this is where I firmly stand. So when
Yeah.
you are actually engaging with people, your ability to read them as people, even if you might not know all the facts, this is when, like, your ancestors, when your
Yeah.
people, like, right, all of your parents and your family and all of
Mhm.
the values that you stand on are really critical, important, and playing in that.
Mm.
And I agree with that. I think one of the things that a lot of people were kind of like, put, eyebrow up about, I can't do it. Eyebrow up of Pamela is that thing, right? Was like, why did she run and then run for
Yeah.
mayor? And maybe it was a power grab. And but I don't think they would say that about a male candidate. I
Hello.
don't think they wouldn't say that about a white male candidate.
Oh, hello.
And as a black woman, I think that she gets targeted often. And
Mm,
I want to credit Pamela Price for running in 2018 against Nancy O'Malley for the seat because of her. The stage here in Alameda County has been set that all of the candidates are speaking towards the issues and the way that Pamela talks about it,
that's
right?
right. That's right.
That, even Seth Stewart, who followed suit, a little bit more moderate than Pamela, is trying to take on issues the way that she's talked about it. Terry Wiley, who is basically Nancy O'Malley's,
Mm-hmm.
right hand man,
Mm-hmm.
and Jimmy Wilson, who is completely supported by all of the police associations,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's got to make you think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Terry Wiley, Pamela, early on in her candidacy, did a public request of information, requesting all the emails with her name in it from the office, and found out that Terry Wiley and Nancy O'Malley were actually using Alameda County email
Huh.
to do their 2018 candidacy work, right?
Wow.
Yeah, their
Okay.
electoral work, which is
Yeah.
illegal. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
not, you're not supposed to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
I think those are things for you to go, if he's willing
Mhm.
to do that corruptly, then I wouldn't want to do that. I
Right.
have also been on several forums with them, one that I facilitated, that with Urban Peace Movement and and the Justice Reinvestment Coalition. And I had to stop them and say, hey, can you all stop talking smack about each other and just
Wow.
stick
Wow.
to your agenda,
Yeah.
stick to your platform. And Pamela was the only one that was like, I'm going to talk about my platform.
Not gonna get into a
Not going
food.
to get into it.
Yeah.
Let the boys over there fight over this because I
Yeah.
got an actual agenda.
Kissing.
And I will say, we our deputy director John Bean had a meet and greet with her, so you can go to our Facebook Live or Facebook videos to check out that video. And she tells some really personal stories, which I wish more people heard,
Seriously.
and given her more opportunity to tell those stories. She talks about being a survivor of domestic violence.
Okay.
She speaks about having been a young person, and been a part of the system, the carceral system at a young age. That she
Mm-hmm.
actually was, as an attorney, went against corrupt cops. So
Wow.
I think these are things that a lot of people don't hear about, and they're
Surely.
dismissive of her,
Right.
because she's a Black woman.
Right. Oh God, thank you so much. This is money. Like everything you're saying is money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see. And then the and there's the sheriff.
Yep.
Oakland Rising decided that we would not endorse anybody for sheriff. And, I had this debate a little bit with Pete. I have had debate with other folks who were kind of like, well, we need somebody, and
Mm-hmm.
we need somebody better than what we have, because the sheriff is horrible. Sheriff Ahern has been horrible.
Right.
People have died under his watch and continue to die and
Right.
suffer. So we need something different. And, our committee just couldn't do it. They were
Mm.
like, we cannot continue to, even though we are part of this electoral system, like voting for that person, for
Yeah.
somebody or endorsing somebody just didn't feel right.
I get that. I
Yeah.
get that.
But again,
Yeah, folks.
it's your choice. There are three candidates, Sheriff Ahern, which I think we would all agree, do not vote for him.
No, no,
Um,
no.
Yesenia Sanchez, says she's a more progressive sheriff, but she's from the sheriff's department.
Right.
She's apparently from a fraction of the sheriff's department that, does not like the way Ahern runs the department. And then there's Joanne Walker, who is a Black woman who was a sheriff previously in, I believe, San Mateo County,
Okay.
and is currently like a faculty for Cal State East Bay
Right.
on
Teaching.
criminal
Right.
justice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this harkens back to our conversation earlier, which is important to just highlight for new people that may be in the room or may listen to this video and not the other one, that this is part of that three-headed monster, right? Like the sheriff oversees Santa Rita Jail.
That's right.
And like you said, Santa Rita Jail is one of the deadlier carceral systems. It has 60 people apparently in Rita who have passed away.
Yep.
Without much investigation. And then this sheriff also oversees the coroner's department. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you're
Um,
actually, if you notice on the ballot, it says sheriff/coroner.
okay.
Yeah. So you are not only voting for the sheriff to oversee the sheriff's department, but you are also overseeing. He is overseer of the coroner's office, which can be in conflict because,
Yeah.
they might have a point of view that is aligned with the sheriff's department. It's hard to go up against the sheriff's department when that's your boss. You
Right.
can't be like, he was murdered by a sheriff or a
Right.
police officer.
Right.
Um,
Right. All
you know,
anyone has to think about is Sandra Bland and all the questions that rise in that situation. If you think about that, and you think about the potential conflict of interest there and why we never got clear information, you can imagine that there is a conflict of interest and things like that continue to play out with a system that has a sheriff that oversees both sides of the cake.
Yeah, and that's all across the board, not only with Sandra Bland, but even locally, right?
Right.
Like Nancy O'Malley refuses to prosecute, the Stephen Taylor's murder from the San Leandro Police Department. It
Right.
refuses to do other things here in Oakland, where the OPD has been involved. You know, it goes across the gamut, and I think those are important things for us to remember, those roles. And
Right.
so the sheriff's department is really like this
Mm-hmm.
with the DA's office. So to be able to have a DA that is willing to stand up to the sheriff's department, hold scrutiny to the sheriff's department, I think could bring potentially some balance and bring some separation to that. And it will bring a different view in our unincorporated areas,
Mm-hmm.
because unincorporated parts of Alameda County, which do not have a mayor or a city council or anything, they are supervised or overseen by the county supervisors and the sheriffs and the DA's
Wow.
office, right? So you'll go to Cherryland, Ashland area. They have a youth center, run the youth sports program, and then they'll turn around and then go arrest our brothers and
Wow.
sisters, right?
Wow.
They'll say, here, let me give you a backpack, free backpack, but let me also give you some handcuffs too, right? So
Okay.
this is one way, again, where your vote can really make a difference in these spaces, because if you don't have the opportunity to, without the vote, you can't go up against your sheriff and be like,
Right.
actually, I need that backpack. I
Right.
do like this sports program,
Right.
but I don't like the way that you're treating our community,
Right.
too, right?
Right. Right.
So I think at the end of the day that most people want services that are taking care of them and not actually jailing
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Doing the bait and switch
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of brings us to, oh, and the last one,
Yeah.
we also did not endorse on Measure C,
Okay.
which is a City of Oakland measure for folks to, it's a parcel tax for homeowners.
Yeah.
Um, it's just to continue the current parcel tax so that we can pay for our public libraries and the services that we get there. Love
Okay.
our public libraries. don't think that that our homeowners and the generosity of our people should continually be taxed. That taxation should be happening at the corporate level, which we are moving on a progressive business tax for the November ballot. So that has been championed by Nikki Fortunato Bass, Council President, and Council Member Fife, and Council Member Sheng Tao, and Council Member Dan Kaub, that that's going to move forward for the fall.
Okay.
But the biggest piece to this, Ryan, is that we wouldn't have to ask our homeowners to pay taxes, additional taxes for libraries if we didn't fund the police
Come on.
at 50%
Come
of our
on.
general budget.
I was going to say something to that effect, but I was like, maybe I'm wrong. So I'm
you are on point.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. So that's another thing to continue to push for reallocation of those resources.
Yes.
Defund.
Defund the police. And
Refund.
again, defund the police, refund the community, and big credit to Anti-Police Terror Project for holding down defund the police work here in Oakland, and nationally we're all talking about it.
Yes.
As a result.
Wow. This has been so informative. I feel like I've graduated from being pretty fussy about my choices, right? To like I'm gonna go into the registrar tomorrow ready to put my votes in.
I'm like, here's your diploma.
Exactly. I feel like I'm gonna call my parents right now and query them about who they're voting and how they're voting, who they're voting for, how they're voting. And again, continue to push for some of these different voter guides to go out up until the 11th hour, until 7:59. I'm going to continue to push these out. So
yes.
Thank you for being so informed. Thank you for making it accessible and understandable.
Yay!
We'll continue to get informed out here.
Yes. Yeah. And and one of the things that you said that and we talked about it earlier today, is that it's not, your vote can't be the last thing that you do, y'all. It has to actually be more than just your vote. Like, vote and then show up. Like, show up to actions, show up to organizations, show up to, and where we first met, Ryan, which is Eastside Arts Alliance, right? Like places like that. Like, show up for your community and in the spaces that in your communities, because that's actually the biggest impact. Is like, with your vote is people power. I have said it before, we'll say it again. One ballot measure, one candidate is not going to save us.
That's right.
Five candidates aren't going to save us. What's going to save us is people power. At the end of the day, that's who moves the world.
We've been
saying
that for generations, right? So true. And I like, you called me an athlete before, which is true. It's one of my titles, right? And I always liken this whole voting process, this electoral process, to being an athlete. Like, to the extent that you continue to work out, you don't have to do the hard lift. It's not the pushing the stone up the mountain. It's like, okay, I've worked out, I'm good, and I'm healthy, and I can just maintain. I don't have to always like, oh, I gotta stop, I gotta cut out bread, and I gotta drink 4 gallons of water.
It's like, cut out bread.
Right. Like, if you stay committed to the process, working out can be fun. Similarly, if you stay committed to this electoral process, if you stay engaged in your community, this whole thing can be fun, and it doesn't always have to be the revolution that has to burn down the buildings and we all got to march and we all got to cry and fall out and chain arms. Like, if we stay engaged, it's not this rushing to get informed so that you can make a semi-informed decision at the polls. Like, you will know what is happening in your community. You will know why and how things move, and you'll have fun in the process. You believe me, everything's not that difficult. Eastside Arts Alliance, Oakland Rising Action, they throw some hot parties, y'all. Okay, trust me. a really dope function. They had
Yes,
that concert last week. Like it can be a great time.
yes.
But,
Urban Peace Movement, shout out to them. They did a
yes,
big voter registration event, which was a big concert called Town Up Tuesdays.
yes, that was it.
It was lit.
Was lit. Okay.
Yeah,
So so yeah, it's not always civics class or economics class that you remember from high school. It's not that all the time.
right. That's
You
right.
stay if you stay up on community engagement.
That's right. That's right. And any one of these people that run for office, what's important is that there's actually hundreds of people and thousands of people behind them, and we millions of people can hold them accountable. Hundreds of thousands of people can hold them accountable to their word. And that's one thing that if you go to our, to our voter guide online and you get the more in-depth analysis that every single one of these, and I forgot to mention, if you're watching, you happen to live in 8020, which is unincorporated Alameda County, Hayward, Fremont, parts of Union City, and Pleasanton, Dublin on the western side, is 8020. We are endorsing a dual endorsement for Jen Esteen in the number 1 slot, and then in the number 2, we are giving it to Liz Ortega. And these are 2 candidates. Jen Esteen is taking no corporate donors at all.
Wow.
And Liz Ortega has been a champion for labor and for unions. She is currently the head of the Alameda County Labor Council, and it has done many big things for Oakland workers and the such. So if you are in 8020, vote for either Jen Esteen or Liz Ortega, and you won't go wrong with that. And there are thousands of people behind these people, so be one of those thousands so that you can hold them accountable.
Yeah, and push them forward. That's it. That's it.
It's not that hard.
And Liz could take time off, and she don't have to be on IG Live talking to y'all at 30. Okay, go eat some food, Liz.
I'm going to. I also want to just shout out, Oakland Rising Action and Oakland Rising. We are holding our annual Oakland Progressive Party on June 23rd at the Black Cultural Zone. We'd love to have you all there. Please go to Oakland Rising Action for both the voter guide and to see all the work that we're doing, but also to sign up and get tickets to come to our show.
Turn up. I love it. Right. All right, love.
Thank you, Ryan.
So much. I cannot thank you enough. Love.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.